The goal is to use AI to help you do whatever it is that you want to in your life or work better, faster, or both.
Welcome to another episode of the AI Download. I'm your host, Shira Lazar. Now, this week's episode is a very special one. I'm pulling back the curtain on how I built a custom GPT for my company, What's Trending. And I'm walking you through the exact framework you can use to build one for yourself if you're a creator, professional, solopreneur, or founder. Okay? Literally, you are getting an inside look at how I do it. We're going to be doing a whole demo. So if you're listening, great. But this is one where you might want to go to my YouTube channel to also watch it. Maybe you didn't even realize I post this as a video to YouTube. There you go. You're learning something already that I have a YouTube channel. So head on over there afterwards and you'll see the actual demo as we walk through it of how I built our custom GPT. We also have a gift for all of you today listening of how you can build your framework with a worksheet. So stick around for that in a bit. First, a huge thanks to our series sponsor, Highlighter. They're your AI-powered reading assistant, bringing you smart, personalized insights so you can spend less time scrolling and more time doing. Check them out at highlighter.ai. Joining me today is a very special guest and friend, Jim Marsh. He's a former HBO executive and now the founder of JMC Strategic Intelligence. Jim helps leaders design AI systems that actually work with them, not just for them. And together we're going to break down the framework that we use to build my custom GPT, as I mentioned, how it works day to day, and how you can use the same approach to scale your creativity, strategy, and content without losing your voice. This is basically a free workshop, so enjoy. Jim, welcome to the AI Download.
Why, thank you, Shira.
I am so excited to have you here. We met, of course, when you were at HBO, and it's been amazing to see how your career's progressed into now the AI era, which is so important, as we know. But I specifically find it fascinating when I see traditional folks that had, big traditional corporate jobs, when they're forced to transition out of them and what they do. And you've really taken advantage of that to build in this new moment. And so I give you your kudos. And it's really an inspiration for a lot of other executives out there who are thinking about taking the leap or who are already there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a really transformative moment in time. That's probably an understatement and something that, we hear all the time. For me, I've always embraced the new, the next, whether that's in technology or culture. And so my role at HBO really put me at a place front and center where I could do that. I basically built up the network's digital marketing and social media capability when that was all brand new. And so I got to see a ton of change in the way that people connect with each other and with stories and entertainment through shows like Game of Thrones and Euphoria, and through the pivot from broadcast cable to streaming, and how different changes impacted everything that we experience as part of that. Right when I was leaving HBO and thinking about what was coming next, it lined up almost perfectly and coincidentally with the widespread mainstream launch of generative AI tools. So, of course, I wanted to dive headlong into them.
So much great stuff here. And I want to unpack some of that. One, I do want to know how your work at HBO informed what you're doing in AI.
I've had a front row seat to understanding how people experience culture and ideas and identity through changes in technology. So for me, it's been about helping to understand, for creators, for leaders, for people who are building their lives with intention, how to understand approaching a collaborative relationship with AI and understanding really how does it work and how to work with it, not how to offload what you do, to offload your cognition and have it do things for you, but how to collaborate with it in a way that puts you, your humanity, what makes you so powerful and special and interesting, and uses the AI to essentially take that and become a force multiplier.
A big part of that, which is what we're going to focus on this episode, is building custom GPTs and how each of us can do that, how I did that with you through this very unique framework that you've created. And before we get into that and a little special gift we have for everyone today who's listening and watching, stick around. I just have this question. Has and I want to move on from your HBO background because you're in a new phase of your life. But if you were going to go back in a role like that in marketing, leading marketing for the top shows on HBO, how would you be looking at AI right now in that?
People are more and more with these tools in a position where they can create amazing stories with, a level of visual impressiveness, if that's a word, that you would not have expected, right? So the barrier to creation and the barrier to storytelling is going way down, right? So it's just a matter of time before you start seeing this next generation of creators that has access to this technology are able to create blockbuster content. So for me, it's like this next wave of like creative storytelling and how we support that and how we, use it as a way to fuel the most interesting stories that we as humans have to tell in a way that we've never expected before.
Yeah, I love that response because, of course, there's the response that talks about IP and storytelling in the age of AI when anything is possible and from anyone and what that means to a big company network like HBO. And then there's the other side on the marketing side, customizing things in real time at scale to get to the right people at the right time, to suck people into what you're selling them. So there's two ways to approach it when it comes to marketing. We're not going to get too deep into that right now because this is about how you can build something, and it's going to be interactive. We're going to be showing you a demo of what me and Jim built together. So if you're listening to this, you can also watch the demo on my YouTube channel to see visually how it worked, but you can also sit back and enjoy it and then go to the visuals. We also have a little gift for you. Basically, we built a worksheet for you all of this framework you're about to hear about, where you can fill it in and build out your own custom GPT. And it's going to be super easy to get it. All you have to do is go to shiralazar.com/sale, shiralazar.com/SAIL. You'll understand what that means as we get into the convo. So Jim and I have known each other for a bit, as I mentioned. We catch up. And he's asking me how I use AI and ChatGPT, and I'm showing him, and then I'm saying how the memory, I maxed it out and lost this. He's like, with this system, that wouldn't happen. And also, to be fair, I had not really created projects in ChatGPT, right? And I hadn't figured out how to bring my team into AI and use AI. And, I'm not a huge company. I don't have a ton of funding. So it's not like I'm going to hire a company to build out our AI approach to things, right? But I wanted something that we could all connect on to be kind of an editorial framework for us that we could all use and fall back on for what's trending in my company, which is a digital media brand and publisher. And so that, like, our conversation and me bringing that up created this, I guess, the next steps to us working together. But yeah, the goal was to figure out how everyone could have their own editor and me when I'm not around, and maintain brand voice, and also level up our content so it's the best it could be for SEO, for shareability, depending on the platform, et cetera. It's a lot for one person to think about and do. With the help, obviously, of AI and building our custom GPT, it makes it much easier. And so, yeah, let's get into, again, the framework, which you described the system as a cognitive architecture. Can you break down the 3 steps?
I like to think about essentially the layer that sits between people and the AI tools, right? And if you're intentional and use structure to create that, it can become very powerful. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. I don't want this to be too hypothetical, right, or theoretical, but there are 3 critical steps, right? First is you want to encode your intent, right? We're going to talk about the SAIL, which is essentially a series of documents that you create, but you start by saying, well, what is your purpose, right? What are you actually wanting to do in life, and what are you wanting to use AI to help you to do, right? And if you can actually formalize that and put that down on paper and build a system around it, then AI is going to help you far more effectively than if you're just kind of putting prompts in there, right? So that's 1 is encode your intent. 2, structure your system. Okay. So once you've started to create this document, which the worksheet mentioned will help people do that on their own, you want to structure a system so that you can build repeatable prompts or workflows, right? You want to start to like actually apply specific use cases that work for you, your team, whatever it is, so that you can make them repeatable. And you can then, three, start to collaborate and refine, collaborate with the AI system and with your team, make all of this better.
So this was all in a document for us to build this GPT. So it is a great also exercise in figuring out what your brand is and hunkering down on that, to be honest. Because if you're uncertain about who you are and what your brand is, AI will not be able to help you and lead you in the right direction. It will lead you in a direction. Not sure if it's going to be the right one. So this really forces you to hunker down on who you are and be clear about it. With all of that, we've talked about a lot of high level stuff. Hopefully it's helpful already, but we want to bring you deeper. And we're going to show you a little visual of the document that I put together with Jim for what's trending, and then how it works, uploading it to whatever platform you're using. It doesn't mean I'm not going to update it.
It's basically like we're doing our one-on-one just in public. So I love it. This is what you sent me first. This is like the very first thing. And I was like, do you have anything actually documented?
Yes.
Right.
We had built this out from a meeting of looking at our data, where we wanted the brand to go, our core truths. This is the North Star of what's trending. You can kind of roll through these, our brand filter, our core truths per platform, actually.
What's really amazing about that is you gave me raw truth to work from, right? You gave me pure, creative, and strategic signal from you and your team to start with before any AI tool touched any of this, right? It came from your brain, right? It came from your heart first and foremost. And I think that's so important when you're talking, especially when you're talking about the creative process. But I believe in the human process in general, like, let's keep this human-centric. Start with what comes from you first, right? Then you can put it into a generative environment, right? Then you can experiment. Then you can move faster. You can experiment. You can try things. You can do all kinds of fascinating things. And then just quickly, on the other side, I always find it important, essential to make sure that like you're putting the human touch on anything that actually goes out public, right? We're not automating here.
So what I was going to add is this could be a brand kit that you have for your personal brands or for your company, right? Again, it could be a public facing document like your deck, something that you've extracted from your public facing website or your socials. But really, this is also like what the team is looking at to make sure they are putting out the right stuff into the world. That is what's helpful for this. My core truths is something that I created with my team from the data of what's working with our brand and what's not working. So you got to see that. So I gave that to Jim.
Okay. So I am literally at chatgpt.com. Okay. There is right under on the top left, the left navigation, right? You have your new chat, search chats, library, codex, Sora, GPTs, right? It says GPTs. And then under it, you'll see a bunch of mine that I've created or other ones that I've used that other people have created. You can see there's the what's trending and Shira's thought partners in there as well. But if I click on GPTs, this brings me to the Chat GPT marketplace. Okay. There's some really powerful stuff in here. And frankly, for a lot of your purposes, you're going to already using some of these, even these featured top picks are going to be very helpful for you, right? And you can see what's trending and things like that. No pun intended. Sorry.
It says literally, by the way, this is it's like the app store of ChatGPT. And how would you describe GPTs to people who also might not understand what they are?
Yeah, it's a highly specific programmed use case within ChatGPT, right? So it's sort of like going back to what we described before. This is the structure piece of it, right? So if you have your intention, your purpose, and you're going to start with that step one, then you need your actual architecture, your infrastructure, where you turn that purpose into, we'll call it a shipping lane, right? For ChatGPT to operate under very, very specific parameters, right? And then all of a sudden, if you do that, it stops being generic, right? Because it's programmed to like access really powerful and specific parts of its brain. And for Shira and for what's trending, right, is all of a sudden you have that like super powerful, intentional structure set up for the sole purpose of helping you and what's trending to do what you do better, faster, etc. Right?
you go to build this custom GPT, which is, this is what we did for what's trending. And then from there, and we're going to fast track to that because you built a create a GPT, you wrote what's trending. So click that. That right now has all the documents. So that's where you uploaded this.
That's right. We'll look at the back end quickly. Right. So that you can see here.
When you open the custom GPT that we built for what's trending, you'll see in it, there's a name of it, description, instructions. This is where in the instructions, if you go down to that, let's go down to, you wrote the role. You are What's Trending's team's AI content strategist. You support writers, editors, and strategists by helping them generate, review, and refine content that aligns with the brand's mission, vision, and editorial priorities. Your role is to keep the work sharp, culturally relevant, and on brand every time. Then there's reference files. You have access to 3 core signal files: mission and values, which you saw, our editorial and style guide, which we also uploaded, strategic vision framework, current and future growth goals, etc. And you could see some of the more bigger details of this on the YouTube channel. And you added, use these files to inform all your responses, match tone, structure, and platform expectations. How did you come up with all of this stuff? Like, I feel like I would never have had in these instructions. I would have been like, you're basically my editor, follow these 3 docs and do things right. But then you even have right here, go down, behavior guidelines, be editorially sharp, but approachable, give clear structured answers, ask clarifying questions if the user prompt is vague. So this is where you're also getting very clear on the instructions for this GPT. Adapt your tone and structure. I would say don't do anything problematic, all that stuff. Don't get us in trouble, basically, hopefully. So we can add that right now live.
Get us in trouble.
Right? But then even that could be biased. What does trouble mean, right? It depends on who's using it. What they look at as problematic. So flag anything that feels off-brand or misaligned. That could be that. When asked to critique content, always type feedback back to the brand file. So it's reminding them, don't just validate us, critique us. So then we have these conversation starters, help me write a headline. And this is what we wrote in there. Well, you did. Tell me about our brand guidelines. Does this post sound on brand? And this also helps the team. So we share this with the team and we give them these conversation starters as well.
That's right. You asked the important question, how did I actually write this? How did I know what to write? Again, like this all started with what you provided, which was critical, right? And that was the foundation for everything. But then I went into like a generative work mode, right? And the secret weapon to doing these kinds of things is you ask the AI how to do it, right? And so I can take your file and I can say, I am trying to create a custom GPT that is going to support what's trending. Please help me use this file and help me write the instructions for that custom GPT. And then it did it, right? And then I made sure it was like right and actually did what I wanted to do. And I had to like QA it a few times and make sure it actually worked the way that I wanted to. So like it was definitely not a set it and forget it thing, but like the things I didn't know how to do, I learned just because the AI was able to teach me, right? Which is just, it worked here, but that's like foundational for everything you need to know in terms of working with AI, right? Just like in that collaborative mindset. This is your cognitive architecture, right? When you think about what's trending and what that means, right? So you have all of these core documents here that have this reflected. And then you have the instructions, how to interpret it, right? And then this is where you can actually demo the tool.
So as you mentioned, you can go back in ChatGPT, not in the custom one, but in just the general one, to get it to help you with the instructions, to get it to help you with the conversation starters. The knowledge is where you're going to upload your documents, right? So this is where we had our editorial guidelines, our mission statement, our strategic vision, all these things. So I guess we gave you the core truths, and then what happened?
I set this up. This is now your cognitive architecture, right? So this basically is the layer that is designed to help to sit between you, your team, and the AI itself, right? So it's programming ChatGPT to be very specifically helping what's trending and the what's trending team, right? Which makes it that much more powerful, that much more specific to you. And because it has a knowledge base in here, you don't have to start from scratch every single time, right? It knows these things. It knows what you're trying to do. It knows what's on brand for you. It knows the way that you write, the kinds of topics that you have, right? So this was like kind of the first phase of building something that could be useful for you and your team, right? And it was, it took some time, but it didn't cost anything beyond the Chat GPT $20 subscription, right? What I wanted to do was push this farther, because this is great. Does a lot of things, but what it doesn't do is give you flexibility, right? I am kind of the admin of this thing. Every time we want to update it, you got to go into the GPT store and you have to upload the files again if you want to make these little tweaks and things like this. And it's not as flexible as you might want it for your team again, right? Like it's, some of them might even not want to use ChatGPT. Some of them might want to be working in Claude or Gemini or wherever it is. And I personally feel like you should be able to have your architecture, right, that travels wherever you go, right? Regardless of if one model gets better than the other. You don't want to be stuck just programming, just working in ChatGPT when Claude or something we haven't even heard of is that much more powerful, right? Which is, again, like why the idea of just relying on the memory is not great. It's powerful in a way, but if you can like build something, develop something that learns and grows and can move with you, that gives you the power, right? So that led to the idea of this SAIL, the Strategic Augmented Intelligence Layer, which I will show you. So there's two different documents we have here, right? This is the manual. The manual for the SAIL, right? So it explains what it is, because this way your team has the context, right? This is meant for human eyes, right? Just to understand what it is, what it does for you, and then how to use it, right? So how do you use it? Okay.
This is the manual for my team.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
And like, as you said, this is like relatively new version of this that you're seeing for the first time, which is kind of cool. So anyway, it links to the SAIL file, which is the AI facing artifact. And then it explains, okay, here's some like core use cases. These are ways to think about using it, right? There's some like typical ones: evaluate a story, draft scripts or headlines. And then there's something that are maybe a little bit more advanced, right? Some thought starters, thinking about cultural formats or scan for monetization fit, for example. And again, this is just coming from me and from what the conversations that you and I have had. But when you and your team really start to like push this stuff to use cases, that's where the power is going to come from, right? I put in some like do's and don'ts here, right? Just again, for the team to understand, because again, we want to keep this human centric. We want to make sure that people are not like becoming over reliant on this. It's meant to be an aid, right? But we don't want to be adding, private or confidential information in here, things like that. Again, and even you mentioned before, like don't get us in trouble, right? Don't use it to speculate about individuals or make claims without clear sources, right? So we try to like be buttoned up with these documents. Now, how to improve this? Okay. So it's a living ecosystem, right? So as what's trending grows, it should evolve too. So as you and your team start to use this and you see what works, you should be coming together every so often in your team meetings and saying, okay, you know what? This worked great. This didn't. Here's a use case that I found was really helpful and powerful. Here's a prompt that I had that was amazing, and here's what it did for me. This kind of like cultural relationship that you develop with each other and with the AI is what starts to make it truly, truly powerful, right? Our best asset in this generative world that we live in now is each other, because change happens so fast. So we have to like learn from one another by trying and using our own brains to like make sure we're comparing notes. So this has a starter prompt library, right? You always want to keep a record of the best prompts, what worked. And in the case of a team, you want to make sure that everyone like knows where they can put these things. And then, if someone has found something, they want to know, oh, someone else wants to say, oh, I should try that for this thing, right? Again, this is this engine that you're building, right? That makes it powerful, and it gets more powerful the more you hone it, the more you use it, the more you learn from it, right? So again, just like some very simple prompts that I put in here to like get everybody started.
This is amazing, Jim. I mean, this is like one of those things you could say, oh yeah, I could go into AI, I could build this for me, but it's with it. But like, come on. I mean, this is a lot of work, and a lot of people don't know where to get started when it comes to scaling AI or using an AI for their company or their own process or their editorial. And we're all editorial, by the way. If you have a company, you're telling stories, right?
Right.
You're putting stuff out about your company. If you're a professional, you don't need to just be a creator or a journalist. You're trying to get the word out about what you do, right? But a lot of us are becoming personal brands. We want to scale that, right? A lot of us have different companies. We need to get the word out. So this is just one example of how it's used, but you could see there's a new job opening for stuff like this. Like obviously you're consulting, but in the end, I feel like everyone's going to have their AI person building these things internally, tweaking processes, testing tools, etc., or hiring out companies, big and small, to do this. Like this is that step to be playing before obviously you reach this like enterprise level. And a lot of people can't, by the way, and they're never going to.
Well, first of all, thank you. I mean, part of this was just a lot of people do this stuff like instinctively, but turning it into a system and process that other people could follow was, where I put a lot of my time and energy. And that's where my experience leading transformation at HBO and helping to bring an organization along with me and to train, social media professionals as the jobs were being created when they were brand new. That's kind of the lens I put into this, right? So, and as you saw, like the messy middle, right, as we were going along, which is like, I kind of think it'll do something like this. And I showed you a few things that like made complete sense to me, but we're probably pretty far out there. But, I think we're getting there,
We saw, just to go over the steps, we saw the documents you put together. We saw in the back end, the GPT. Then we kind of took that and we built from there an overall document with everything, including, this is now instructions for the folks that I'm going to be sending it to. They're on my team with what they can then upload to build it in on their platforms and tools they're using.
So we're going to look at the actual SAIL file itself, right? And then we're going to try it out and see what happens.
Okay.
So see what happens when you or someone from your team were to use it cold. So this is to be managed and updated by you, right, and the team, but is written and designed for AI, right? But ideally, it's structured in such a way that like you can read it and interpret it, which is why I didn't put it in Markdown or some other language, because it, if it works, it works. But this way, you can actually go and be like, oh, I'm going to update this section or that section, right? But you'll see at the very top, it starts with system instructions, right? So I'm introducing to the AI what I am giving it, which is this strategic augmented intelligence layer. And this is what it does, right? Apply these rules, apply all sections marked here as active in context automatically, right? It's defining the rule set for the AI system. And this is called system prompting, right? There's what most people are familiar with, which is the user prompt, which is like, give me this recipe or, write this thing for me. But when you prompt and tell the entire system how to operate, that's when you go into like the specialty high octane lane that we're putting you into, right? So this is establishing rules at the onset, which it's going to or should follow, throughout the duration of a chat or whatever. And you can use this in many ways, which we'll talk about, right?
Right now, this could be very overwhelming for someone listening or watching, or you're already advanced. I know there are people that listen to this that are like, engineers. So they're like, oh, this is, maybe you've already done this, or it's interesting to listen to how I'm incorporating it into my process. You already know. So hopefully there's something for everyone here, but they might say, whoa, this feels like really advanced. Again, that's why we have this worksheet. You could start taking those steps or hire Jim, of course. No, but I was going to say is that one doc that we went through was for my team of how to use it. Now this doc is for the AI. And this was built from the original back end that we looked at and we were talking about. plus what else? Like, how do you build this with AI also?
I build everything with AI at this
Okay.
point, right? It's my job to like give it direction, tell it what it to do, to frankly have the vision, right?
Yeah.
To say, this is what I'm trying to achieve with this thing. And honestly, the collaboration that you and I have had has made it really helpful, because you were like, when you're like, I don't get it, my team's not going to get it. That's the most helpful thing, right? Because I'm so far in it, in some ways, that I need fresh eyes to like say, I need humans to say like, this doesn't work for me, right?
How would you describe this part, and how does someone
make it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, in a way, it feels more complex than it necessarily is. This has been supercharged for you and your team. And I'm going to show you when you see how that actually works. But honestly, I think when you see this worksheet that we've put together, even the process of following those 3 steps, right? So like establishing your intent, right? So who are you? What are you trying to do? First of all, if you put that down on paper in a way that is coherent, even remotely coherent, and then you start to say, this is how I want us to work together, right? And that's starting to like structure the system. And just some basic guidance on how you want to work with AI, what you're trying to do. And then you start to like develop focused use cases. Again, because the goal is not to use AI. The goal is to use AI to help you do whatever it is that you want to in your life or work better, faster, or both, right? So finding those use cases is the really powerful thing. And if you're even just putting them in a document by themselves and you start there, everything that you follow afterwards is going to be that much more personalized and powerful. So yes, this might feel advanced or complicated, but like the point is that just some basic context and intention will help you get better results right away. It's set up to help you scale what you do better, right? And it's like, but you got to show up. You got to show up with clarity. You got to show up with intention. You got to show up with your own goals, your own values, your own creative spark, and then let the AI help you go wild, right?
So this doc, it's identity and purpose. It has basically everything that we had in that first thing we shared, actually, decision principles. Yeah, it was basically everything, but this is now in one doc. If you're listening to this, go on my YouTube channel. You'll see that we are going through the document right now visually. It will really help you. And if you haven't stumbled to my YouTube channel yet, you'll now also be there and subscribe. So there you go, win-win.
But more or less, it is an evolved version of what you initially gave me.
The audience demo, it has everything. Yeah, this is the compliance and risks notes, all of that. Okay, so this is the internal document guidance for the AI. It has examples even. Oh, I love this. It has, go back to the Mr. Beast thing. Good output example headline. Mr. Beast surprises college students with $1 million giveaway and why he filmed it on campus. So this passes relevance, personality, emotional hook. I don't even know where that was from. Bad output. Mr. Beast does something crazy again. You won't believe it. I mean, that kind of is interesting. Isn't it clickbaity?
The latter is a bad output example, right?
Yes, yes, because you're not being specific. It's not good for SEO. Then it also does good output examples and hooks for social media and TikTok. So this was built based on my brand. So your version of this is going to be different, but I'm just giving you an example of how we did it for us. Okay. So we got that. Now what happens? We got those 2 documents.
Yeah. First of all, I'll note that like you want to keep making this better. You want to keep updating this. If you don't like the Mr. Beast example, you're going to replace it. Your team's going to like have a better sense of what are good and bad examples. And the more data, like real data you start to put in this thing, the more powerful it's going to be. Okay. I'm grabbing, I saved that Google Doc as a PDF. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am now going to literally drop that SAIL PDF into, you know what, I'm going to just to do a cold read, I'm going to do a temporary chat. I do this a lot just so it's not personalized to me. It doesn't like put my own programming in there or limited ways, right? I'm dropping it in. I'm not even putting anything else in here. Yeah. Okay, let's see what happens. Imagine I'm on your team.
So we put it in this doc. We uploaded the doc to the ChatGPT and it says it's active. Here are a few ways I can help right now. Evaluate a story idea, generate scripts and headlines, expand an angle, brand safety, pre-flight, spark thought starters, polish for engagement. Love it. Basically my ultimate helper here. And now what I've told my team is I don't want you just to start from scratch here. You're going to write your article. You're going to write your social media caption. You're going to write your YouTube script. And then you're going to place that in here and get feedback, right? We could do one right now where we could I'm going to take copy and paste from an article on what's trending, what we have. And we'll just do that. And then you'll see how it's giving feedback. And I've told my team to let it tweak for SEO, let it tweak for a hook, right? It also, because now SEO, search engine optimization, is becoming answer engine optimization. It will also, I might say to my team around my article even, hey, break it down into shorter bits, have a sub headline. So these are all things it might give my team that I would have given those tweaks to them to do themselves because I'm not always around. And also, I'm also learning what to do to make my own content better. So Christina Aguilera, we did an article. We're going to place the article in there and we're going to see how our what's trending GPT helps us make this better. Let's put that in there. Evaluate this article. Let me know if I'm missing anything for SEO or for better readership, engagement, hook, etc. And for AEO too, for the answer engine optimization. So that's my prompt.
Yeah.
Let's see what it says.
You see, I'm being somewhat intentional about how I structure the prompts, but I also have gotten better at not correcting every little typo just for speed.
Yeah. So it gave SEO opportunities. It says current title, Christina Aguilera takes over Grindr's iconic bloop with come on over ahead of Portola Festival. All right. Headline rewrites for SEO. Christina Aguilera teams with Grindr, app replaces bloop with come on over, sound ahead of Portola Festival. This GPT gave us different headlines. If you go down also into this, it also gave us some tweaks for answer engine optimization, which we need to be doing more. It said that in the article to be answering these questions, what did Christina Aguilera do with Grindr? When and how can users activate the feature? Why now? So this was in it. Engagement and shareability, opening hook. It gave us tweaks. So this is just so amazing because my writer, yes, she wrote that and it's great. But then this becomes the editor that right now my team does not have to then optimize, and it even gave us social packaging for it. It said also overall the story hits multiple core content filters. It could level up with utility beat, walk readers step by step on how to activate the feature, a cultural angle, and search lift. Add Portola 2025 lineup. So now as the boss, I might go to my team member saying, hey, did you put this in our what's trending GPT? Because it gave some really good feedback that I would love you to implement in the article or the piece of work. So this is an example now of the workflow that I've added for my editorial process with my what's trending team using the documents that I built with Jim. And it seems complicated, but it's not as complicated as you think. Anyone can do this. And again, we're helping you do this through this podcast episode. And you see us walking through it visually, as well as through the worksheet that we created that you can get right now in the caption and description show notes. Okay. So I just wanted to make it clear what's happening here. So what's next? I guess that's it. Is there anything else we need to show demo wise?
So you might have seen, I was, while you were chatting, I dropped this in, right? So this was great. How do I best structure a prompt for this type of evaluation in the future? What's a repeatable prompt, right? So
yeah,
I like to ask the AI how to work better with it, right? That's how I get better, and that's how it gets better too, right? So I'm curious what it's going to say.
This is really interesting. I'm from this prompt that you just said, I might give this to my team saying, hey, I just want to make sure you're using this. Plus, here's a prompt for article for my writer. And here's what they should prompt in order to get to a better results.
So now you could put this, if you wanted to, you could put it in that manual or your prompt library, right?
Yeah,
and you
amazing.
You can keep those things in there.
All right. So with all of this, what is the takeaway here? We just have brought people through an entire journey. This is something that you do with clients, you do with your own work. What should people leave with? Besides obviously they're leaving with a gift that we're giving them, hopefully with a lot of knowledge. This is basically a workshop that you would pay for. We're giving to you for free.
As you said, hopefully this is helpful. And, everyone has their own way of working with AI, and everybody, even advanced users, have their own philosophies for collaborating with AI. And the way that, we all learn is just by doing and talking and learning from each other. But I think the thing to remember is really to focus on two things. One is intention, right? So what are you actually using AI to do, right? And if you're not sure, ask it to help you figure out what your intention is, right? You might be surprised at how helpful it can be for things like that. And the second is structure, right? The more that you are working to try and create these kinds of systems, some level of pre-programming, but it does not need to be complicated. It can just be as simple as, my name is Jim. I'm X number of years old. This is what I do. These are my goals. I'm trying to show up and be the best podcast guest that I possibly can be. Give me some tips. That level of context is going to be so helpful versus me just saying, how should I show up on a podcast, right? That scales. So start simple, be focused, look for use cases that really help you, find that rabbit hole and get better, and then apply tools, apply processes where they make sense as you go.
As you say, this is a living system. So it is best when you could constantly learn from it yourself and update it as you go. Where do you see these GPT systems going in the next few years? What does the future hold for these custom GPTs?
I think what fascinates me more than anything is just how quickly things can be created and ideas brought to life, right? So you think about how it's changing software and products, right? And you can dream things, and then the next thing you know, if you with some basic abilities, you can code products and just change the way that you work. So it's almost impossible to know where we're going to be in a month, which is why I think it's so important just to develop those muscles so that you can just keep yourself anchored, know what matters to you, know how it applies to you, because you're not going to know it all. And honestly, I hope people can make it a point to stay grounded, right? Not get lost in the crazy world that this is, because it moves really quickly. It's we talk some about mental health and things like that. It's really addictive in a lot of ways. You see how quickly you can get results, you can make improvements, you can come up with new ideas, and that's amazing. And then you get all these breakthroughs. But I, for one, have made it a point to step away. I go for walks. I don't even listen to music anymore, because I'm I just need to be in the world and in my body, and just away from generative AI technology and technology in general, just so when I come back, I can bring intention, right? I can bring my creative spark. I can bring my best self. So I want to see what you and your team are going to do with this stuff, right? That's what I'm excited about.
Definitely. Me too. I'm trying not to get anxious every time I put a current piece of content in there and seeing all the tweaks that need to be made, but that's okay. It's okay.
Pencils down is a new power skill.
Right. But I so appreciate you. I appreciate you for the work that you've put in, really helping guide me and the team and giving so much of yourself to it. It means so much. And I'm so excited to see what you continue creating and who you continue to being able to help, because a lot of people need this. And so again, follow Jim everywhere. LinkedIn, link in the show notes, download our worksheet. It's at shiralazar.com/SAIL. Link also in the show notes. Let us know what you think, because this is an experimental episode, and hopefully we could do more of these demos and real life case studies with all of you in the future. Thank you so much, Jim, for your time.
Thank you. I really a pleasure, honor to be here. I'm a big fan in addition to being your friend, and thanks for being willing to prototype with me, and thanks to your audience for prototyping with both of us too. That's the way of things, right?
Yep. Wow. That was just incredible. I continue learning as we go. As much as I've known about this stuff, even just walking through that with all of you, I learned even more. So I just love this. I love doing this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And a huge thanks to our series sponsor again. Check them out, please. Hivelighter. You've got to check out the AI Download Collection too. It basically has all the top headlines from the episodes that we've had. This was a special one, but typically we cover different themes. We check out the articles and stories of the week. So you can read deeper into the stories that we cover. Click the Hivelighter link in our show notes to get smarter. Also, Muso Media, who helps publish this series. Check them out at musomedia.com. If you love this episode, please subscribe, rate, share it. Also leave a comment. I want to know what you think, what you want to see more of. And I'll also reply. I see all the comments. It really helps me keep growing the show independently and means a lot to me. We've got so much more coming your way. So I'll see you next time on the AI Download.